Joe Biden has stage 4 prostate cancer. I'm sorry, Jill. I'm sure it's hard to hear this for the first time again. It's just so out of nowhere. I mean, for years I pretended he was in perfect health. Just this morning I saw him put his shoes on in under 30 minutes. Tell me honestly, doctor, is my Joe too sick for us to pretend he's running for president again in 2028? Well, yes, Jill, he has stage 4 prostate cancer. But maybe instead you could pretend he's the president of an HOA or a book club. If we can't pretend he's president again, it may be time to put him down.
Wait, in 2018, I had a whole. I was running for a re-election, and anyway.
Are you sure there's no way for us to keep pretending he's perfectly fine, doctor? There's a drug called NZT. I saw it in a movie with Bradley Cooper. Anyone who takes it experiences heightened physical dexterity and cognitive ability. Maybe if you give Joe one of these pills, his body would pretend to heal itself. Here, Jill, have Joe take this. It's the last of my NZT supply. You're doing a great service to democracy, Bradley. Here, buddy, take this. Do you feel any different?
I feel I go for a walk, and my son Hunter gave me a deck of cards. Said I should pick one, and it's a great skill to have.
Damn it, he's too senile. Even with NCT, it's impossible for us to keep pretending he's in perfect health. I have to call Barack. I think it's time to go to Plan B.
Alright, I'm thinking we go on a press run and basically act like we didn't know and also knew about Joe's health at the same time. And if anyone calls us out for it, we'll just call them anti-democracy.
A lot of the people that are making like negative comments about Joe Biden having cancer, you just look like an asshole. It's an 83-year-old man that clearly has cognitive decline, halfway in the grave already. You're like grave dancing. Like, what are you doing?
Can you smell the sweat on Osmongold's pillowcases? Do you smell the Cheetos? The Cheeto dust in the air? I do. I don't know about you. Osmongold gets it a little bit wrong on morality here. You already know, if you watch this channel whatsoever, welcome to the new people. Anyone that's new, man, welcome. We got a little community going. Rich Cotton and myself will talk in the comments. I reply to every comment. If I don't, it's because YouTube is dog shit and it didn't tell me you commented. So say it again if I don't respond. But regardless, if you watch it all, you know I'm about to say a whole bunch of bad stuff about Joe Biden. I don't care about this cancer. I don't care about the tactics that the Democrats use to draw heat away from their party and draw heat away from everything that's going on with the auto pen scandal and all the things that Joe Biden did in the final 2 years of his presidency that broke precedent and made no sense whatsoever at all. Him falling upstairs, him gibbly gobbly gook all the time, just saying nothing. He sat there and watched a 20-minute tribute to a woman, and when it shut off for her to rest in peace, he's asking where she's at in the room to talk to her. That's not normal. That's the type of stuff that happens when you're losing your mind. I'm going to go ahead and say a whole bunch of bad stuff about Joe Biden. You can judge me for it and say whatever you want, but you can't be a horrible, reprehensible human being for your entire life and be the worst human possible, a net evil on the world, and then at the last second go, oops, I got cancer and I'm dying. So you know what? Hold up. Don't even say anything bad about me. Don't criticize what I did, and definitely don't investigate anything that I have going on with me, my staff, and my family.
Oh my God, nobody look!
These are tactics. Let's get into it.
Nobody look! Nobody look!
So pretty much between Osmongold TV, Hassan Piker, David Pakman, and a few others, we're going to just experience how the left tries to end someone's career and not allow you to critique it or looking into any skeletons in the closet of what they did in their final time before leaving, either in retirement or in death, or they resign and they leave and you're not allowed to really look into anything they're doing. It's just another tactic from the left. Their supporters, their little tribe that they have online, they're either going to shame you into anyone saying anything negative about Joe in the final time of his presidency and question anything he did, that he actually isn't the one that did it, somebody else must have been doing it. Whatever the case is, they're either going to shame you into even looking into that and saying anything negative about him, or the progressives will just go absolutely nuts and wish death upon him and wish the worst things on him because they're just terrible people to begin with. No one likes them. Not even the left likes the left, to be honest. So let's just get into it. I just wanted to hear something Osmongold said at the end of what he was saying there. He says that saying bad things about Joe and talking about Joe anymore at this point doesn't matter because everything he did, he's already done, and there's nothing that is going to change that. But that might not be true, because if at the end of his presidency, staff was doing things in his name with the auto pen, and this guy was getting some sort of, if he had any sort of treatment for this cancer, it can cause cognitive issues. And if he was unaware of what was going on because of treatment or his cancer or whatever it is, and staffers are doing things on his behalf, those things can be undone through investigations. So you have one side saying, "Oh, he already did everything he did. There's nothing you can do." But, is there nothing we can do if it wasn't actually him doing it? Or if you just go negative, you're just an idiot, a callous, horrible person that's talking bad about someone on their deathbed. But I'm going to make it clear right now, guys. I'm going to say a whole bunch of bad stuff about Joe Biden. Joe Biden is an evil piece of shit, and no one is going to stop me from saying bad things about him. Not a cancer diagnosis, not a death, not anything is going to make me stop saying how evil and how big of a monster Joe Biden was on this planet. He is a piece of shit, and I'm not going to stop saying it because you shame me or call me names. I really don't care. We're at the point where we no longer listen to the names you make up for us. We no longer care whenever you redirect my statement into saying, well, does that mean that you mean this? We just don't care. Say whatever you want. We don't fucking care. Just say
Daddy,
it.
chill.
Who cares? So let's hear what Osmond Gold said right at the end there about it not mattering. And I'm just going to jump right into what the progressive left said about Joe Biden because they're so tolerant.
Making fun of cancer is disgusting. Also, nobody's making fun of cancer. We're all on cancer's side here. Against Biden, no one's making fun of the cancer here. We're making fun of Genocide Joe. Realign your priorities, man.
The MSM is already laundering reputation of a war criminal who oversaw the genocide of Palestinians, whose selfish nature allowed Trump to win a second term. Joe Biden is an awful monster. Prostate cancer doesn't change that. I mean, for people that are so focused on optics, somehow end up always looking like assholes. These are on the tolerant left. Yeah, it's like, the thing is, he's going to be dead, so it doesn't matter what he did, right? I mean, that's it. That's it. It doesn't matter. It's over. Literally, it's fucking over.
So I wanted to give you just a little taste of how the tolerant progressive left reacts to Joe Biden's cancer treatments. And really, that's the first level, is the left is disgusting and will say terrible things. In this video, I'm not going to say that I wish the cancer onto Joe. I don't wish that type of thing on anyone. I might say it as a crash joke when I'm angry or something like that, but I don't really truly mean it. I didn't wish Joe Biden got cancer, so that's not what happened. But the left certainly did. The progressive tolerant left was absolutely wishing this guy got cancer. But I really want to focus on not them. They're trash. Everyone hates them. Even the Democrats hate the left, the far left that way. But Osmond Gold saying that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what he already did, he did. But that's not necessarily true. And that kind of ties together why they do this and announce this. Are you guys surprised that Joe Biden's dying at 83 years old and after watching him the last 4 years? Are you surprised? I expected him just to be dead any day now and then just announce it so all investigations stop. The cancer thing is just a roadblock to stop you from criticizing and investigating what's going on and get you to pull back. And if you don't pull back, then the morality police comes after you and says, "Oh my God, I can't believe you're saying bad things." So even, Trump came out and said, "Oh my God, I feel so bad. I hope Jill and his family are okay." Oh, JD Vance says what he says. They all are going to say the right things in the moment and then hit you with that caveat, hit you with that. But at the same time, what about these auto pen signatures? What about everything he did in the last 2 years? The last 2 years in his office. Now, it's these tweets. These tweets, I heard about the auto pen thing a while ago. Now, just to be clear, I'm aware that all presidents use an auto pen device of the modern era, that this is not an abnormal thing. They sign a lot of documents, and at a certain point, it's boilerplate, and we just need to rifle these pieces of paper through. That should not be happening for important documents, especially pardons, especially blanket pardons that have never really been given to anybody in the history of the country. I believe there was one blanket pardon given out somewhere around Nixon, but I don't really care. I'm not really counting that. It's just not something that's ever happened before. So these tweets in particular are why I feel like this investigation is coming to a head. The DOJ is going to look into these auto pen signatures when these pardons were given. Whistleblowers are talking about staffers. Three Biden staff members have been identified by whistleblowers saying that they sold pardons using the auto pen machine. You see the machine here. This is a trip, dude. It really is a trip. So the other side of it is, even whenever you say nice things about Joe Biden, you'll have someone like David Pakman twist it into, oh, this is just fake. The compassion that JD Vance talked with is just fake. He doesn't actually mean the first thing he said. He means everything after he says but. But you can mean both things at the same time. I can say, hey, I'm not going to say. JD Vance can say Joe Biden was a good guy. He was a president. He worked. He sacrificed his life for his country, and worked in the public service and did all that. And, oh man, he just gave it all for his country. But at the end here, we really need to look into who was in charge, who was doing these things, who was signing executive orders at the end here, who was signing blanket pardons, that because Joe Biden said he would never do something like that, and the mention of Trump doing it was, oh my God, I can't believe Trump made blanket pardon his children. That's disgusting. That's what they said, but then Joe does it. Or did he do it? Do you think Joe Biden did it? Anyway, let's move on to David Pakman, because this is the second phase. Other than, the being forced into saying nice things about someone because they're sick and they're going to die, fuck that. I'm not doing that. And then you'll call me a monster and I'll say, I don't fucking care. Who cares?
I don't care.
Then
If
the
you
second
did
side of
kill
it is
that kid.
this fake progressive way of arguing where you say one thing, but then they say this actually means this. David Pakman kind of did it here, but listen to JD Vance. Listen to what he actually said, especially at the beginning, and tell me how this was bad, and how David Pakman says, this is disgusting, he said. You tell me.
JD Vance wasted no time in showing us exactly who he is, responding to Joe Biden's cancer diagnosis, not stage 9, stage 4, with a Gleason 9 prostate tumor. JD Vance had the following to say. This stuff is sickening.
Look, I mean, first of all, of course, we wish the best for the former president's health. And, it sounds pretty serious, but hopefully he makes the right recovery. Like, I will say, whether the right time to have this conversation is now or at some point in the future, we really do need to be honest about whether the former president was capable of doing the job. And that's no... that you can separate the desire for him to have the right health outcome with the recognition that whether it was doctors or whether there were staffers around the former president, I don't think he was able to do a good job for the American people. And that's not politics. That's not because I disagreed with him on policy. That's because I don't think that he was in good enough health. In some ways, I blame him less than I blame the people around him. And why didn't the American people have a better sense of his health picture? Why didn't the American people have more accurate information about what he was actually dealing with? This is serious stuff. Look, I mean...
We just learned that Joe Biden has stage 4 metastatic prostate cancer. And the Vice President of the United States decides it's the perfect moment to question his competence and to kickstart this political autopsy.
I almost killed
I don't know
myself,
about you,
Julie.
but I don't know what was disgusting about what JD Vance said, other than the fact that David Pakman is an absolute team player and is always playing team politics and is just a partisan. And he doesn't care. Now, these are the different layers from the left that you'll get. You'll have the left, the far left, crazy progressives, the Hassan Pikers, and those Twitch streamers, and in that realm of the world. They, in the political world, they're going to bash Joe Biden and wish death upon him and say it doesn't matter because of Palestine and Israel and all that. And that they didn't like him anyway, and that's part of the reason why he stepped down, other than the fact they knew he had cancer. Then you have the left that's in the middle. That's kind of reasonable. Osmond Gold TV is my example for the left that's in the middle that kind of can make sense sometimes. I'll throw you a bone in a minute. I'll show you an Osmond Gold TV one in a minute and show you that he can be reasonable. It's just it's that soft, hey, don't say anything bad, don't be an asshole. You don't want to be an asshole, do you? Is if you say something bad and say the truth about Joe Biden and the legacy he left, you're a bad person because he has cancer. Don't do that. But I also will admit, we'll jump to the Osmond Gold right now. But I'll also admit that, yeah, how he did things at the end of his presidency didn't really make sense. He cognitively was impaired. People were clearly taking advantage of that. To what level, I don't know. It just, he'll say those things, but he'll still say, "Well, let a sleeping dog lie. There's nothing you can do. He already did all those things. Just forget about it. He got cancer. He's going to die. Let's just move forward." Where it's just like, well, wait a minute. Uh, what about the accountability and the consequences for the people that were doing bad things, like even to the level of treason against the country? What about that? We don't want to investigate that because Joe Biden got cancer and it's bad. You're an asshole if you say anything negative about it. Then you have the left David Pakman world, kind of. I don't want to say the professional leftist, that aren't really the grifters as far as Hassan Piker and those levels, and not really reasonable, just like a streamer that just is a video game kind of guy, like Osmond Gold kind of thing, and just is has that compassion of a young person, but not the wisdom of an older person yet. The typical, if you're 18 and not a liberal, you have no heart. If you're 40 and not a conservative, you have no brain type of person. Where he just hasn't reached that level of I guess I'll say world experience to get to the point where it's just like, dude, you got to protect your own. You got to stop with the fluffy bullshit and let's just move on with our lives. He'll get there. I bet he will. Then you have the David Pakmans. The David Pakmans are going to always be militant on this and protect Joe when they have to protect the party, excoriate Joe when they have to excoriate Joe to separate him from the party. But they're always going to be on that fine line where they are always attacking the other side, always smearing the other side with any information that comes out, regardless whether their side looks good, looks bad, looks confusing, looks mysterious, looks conspiratorial. It does not matter. They don't care. The team optics mattered most. And that's what David Pakman's doing here, where still all three people, the goal is, well, I would say 2 out of the 3, the goal from these 3 style of leftists are shut down the conversation, shut down talking about what he did and the legality of what he did and the treason that took place, because it already happened. Don't worry about it. And there's nothing you can do to fix it now anyway, because it already happened. But maybe there is something we can do. Maybe there is something we can do. And that's really the point. And I'll talk a little bit about Joe after. So Osmond Gold. So I want to throw him about. I don't want Osmond Gold TV greasy little incels running here saying, "Oh, you're not stupid. You don't know. Osmond Gold knows best." I don't fucking care. Shut up. I don't watch Osmond Gold TV. I don't care. I just mean his video worked for this application. That's all. But yeah, I mean, this is what he said later on, and this is the people that are on the left and in the center and the people that are on the right all know this to be true. They all know it to be true, but who's willing to say it out loud and who's willing to say the truth about Joe while he has cancer and he's going to die? And that's the whole point of this. That's why they did this. That's why they launched this now. They know he's had cancer this whole time. I'm willing to bet dollars to donuts that they've been treating him for this cancer this whole entire time. And that's what accelerated the cognitive abilities. Can I prove it? Absolutely not. But Osmond Gold knows, and most people with rational thinking minds and critical thinking capabilities know that this is the truth.
I want to ask very quickly, so much has been made of his apparent cognitive decline. Mm-hmm. Is there a possibility that either the cancer itself or any treatments he was undergoing in secret could affect cognitive function of a person?
I'm sure it could have.
Yeah, absolutely. Because what happens is when prostate cancer becomes, like say you get treated for prostate cancer and then the prostate cancer recurs, what you would do is you would start someone on a kind of a testosterone blocking hormone such as Lupron. And because Lupron acts to lower your testosterone, it gives you kind of like symptoms of depression, lower energy, fatigue. So there's a lot.
Well, no fucking shit.
That's interesting. Very interesting.
Of things that go with being on Lupron treatment. So Lupron is a class of medicine that just castrates, chemically castrates someone so that the prostate cancer doesn't spread. And so Lupron was likely used in Joe Biden.
So to be very clear, you believe he was silently, secretly battling this for at least 5 years?
Well, I think that's yet to be seen. I mean, it would be very surprising, like I said earlier, for him to
I don't know. Would the group of people that hid other medical realities also hide a medical reality? Ah, jeez, dude, I wonder. Ah, man, who knows?
Have
It was just a good example for Osmond Gould kind of being in the center left of this, and just not wanting to hear you say negative things, but him being pretty reasonable. And I think the points there from the doctor, if that was a doctor, whoever it was, it goes to part of my feeling that Joe Biden has been having this therapy for a while. He's already been dealing with this for a long time. And I would bet it accelerated his cognitive abilities. Even the base level hormone therapy that you would do at the entry level of a cancer like this, that would be the minimum that they would start before they started chemotherapy and radiation or anything like that, would be a hormone therapy. Even that will make a person not like the person they used to be. Even that will alter a person to the point where it's noticeable. It should be noticeable. Then if if the hormone therapy, he wasn't responding to it at all, or it got worse or spread or whatever the case is, and they started either low dose chemotherapy or just direct radiation to try to shrink it, it's just regardless what they go to the next step after the hormone therapy, it is going to you're going to be a husk of who you used to be. I watched it happen to a 4-year-old child, my son. I watched my 4-year-old melt into a zombie, someone who he wasn't even a human being to me at that point. He was a husk of a child. So don't tell me that Joe that there's no way Joe was getting treatment for this. I'm willing to bet so you'd have to believe that they weren't checking the president for every kind of cancer and every kind of thing that you get at that age, which is prostate cancer is like the number one thing. One of the top things. So either they were ignoring testing the president for those things, and we all just found out a day ago that Joe Biden has cancer, or he did have cancer and they knew it and they wouldn't treat him while he was president because he's president and they didn't want to alter him, and they couldn't hold off anymore. And right at the end, they started giving it to him in the last year or two because they had no choice because it was going to kill him. Any of those options, dude. I think it's more likely that soon as they found the cancer, probably 4 to 6 years ago, they started hormone therapy. And at some point during his presidency, they kept it a secret. The cancer got worse and they had to step it up from hormone therapy to chemotherapy, radiation, whatever the next step was for that particular cancer and the way it was progressing, whatever his doctor said. And that would start to turn him into that husk. Why do you think we didn't see him forever? Why do you think they hid him and they wouldn't let him talk to anyone? It's because, you know why? It's because Joe Biden told you he has cancer. That's why they stopped letting him talk. Joe Biden told you he has cancer in 2022. Right here, listen.
Because it was a 4-lane highway that was accessible, my mother drove us, and rather than us be able to walk. And guess what? The first frost, you know what was happening? You had to put on their windshield wipers to get literally the oil slick off the window. That's why I and so damn many other people I grew up have cancer. And why can't, for the longest time, Delaware had the highest cancer rate in the nation. That's why I and so damn many other people I grew up have cancer.
Think back when Joe Biden was going through the debate process with all the other candidates on stage. Even then, even though he wasn't, as slick as he used to be, he was much better than he was even just a few months later whenever he was actually campaigning against Trump. When he was campaigning against Trump in 2019 into 2020, it was really strange. He was a little bit more aware of what was going on. And does it not make sense to you that he was diagnosed around that time, maybe even after he got the nomination and beat everybody else out, and was selected by the DNC to be their candidate, and then they very quietly just kept it a secret, didn't let anyone check it, didn't really go through any of that, just kept it all a big secret, started the hormone therapy, and that's whenever they started hiding him. He wasn't able to do press conferences. He wasn't doing debates. He wasn't, he wasn't himself. even during that time against Trump, he just was not himself. He wasn't. He was still good enough for them to schmeat enough to make it happen, and turning votes off in the middle of the night. I'm not gonna stop counting in the middle of the night, and then 130,000 go through, 99% to one candidate. We're not going to talk about that. But during that time, does it not make sense to you when you look back at it that he was probably diagnosed somewhere in the 4 to 6 range at some point, 4 to 6 years ago? They started hormone therapy. They did that for a while, maybe even a couple of years. They tried that to try to hold it off to get him through the presidency, keeping everything a secret. And then at some point, it got worse. And about two to 3 years ago, and they switched to a low dose chemo or something like that. Hey man, I'm just sitting in my pajamas in the living room. I'm just saying, does it not make sense that it's possible that this is how it went down? And his cognitive ability just continued to unravel, as I myself have experience with people that take chemotherapy. They will turn into a husk of their former self. And that's what he's looked like over the last couple of years. He told you in 2022 he had cancer. He didn't say I had. He said I have cancer in 2022. He told you. They play it off as just another gaffe, one of his gaffes. But, it's not a gaffe. It's just a gaffe, and it's not cognitive ability. But don't worry, he knows what he's talking about, except he doesn't know what he's talking about. Does that all make sense? Okay.
You're retarded.
So, with these investigations, and they know that Trump wants to undo his pardons, the blanket pardons against all the most rotten traitors to this country that possibly were sold to these people. Who knows? All I'm saying is, does it not make sense to you a little bit? Does this timeline not make a little bit more sense now with how Joe Biden deteriorated the way that he did, and how the media and the mainstream media and everyone had to prop him up like goddamn Weekend at Bernie's and make it a whole thing that he's totally fine? They told you they basically told you up until the day that they told you he has cancer and he's about to freaking die, that he's fine. He's the best Joe Biden we've ever seen. Fuck you if you don't believe it. You piece of shit, MAGA maggots. How dare you attack his cognitive abilities? And he has cancer.
I'm a snag.
It's just and he has cancer. Don't say anything about anything he did. Well, I'm going to. Okay. Joe Biden, started out. This dude has basically never lived. He never worked a day in his life. Okay. Never had a real job. This dude's been a politician his whole goddamn life. Always worked in the public sector, what our forefathers said no one should ever be able to do. He made a career out of it, got rich off of doing it. He had his first wife. He had his first 2 children, the 2 boys. He had 2 boys and a girl with the first wife. The little girl died in the car accident that killed his first wife. Do you know who the nanny was at the time watching the children? Joe Biden. So what we know of Joe Biden, I'm going to go ahead and assert, I don't care, call me a piece of shit and say I'm making stuff up if you want. I'm willing to bet Joe Biden was sleeping with the babysitter.
Daddy, chill.
Okay. The wife died. I'm not going to disrespect them. It was so long ago so Joe Biden had to say Joe Biden had something to do with it to get with the babysitter. I'm not going to go that crazy. Okay. But who knows? I don't know. I wasn't there. Were you there? I don't know. But something tells me he was sleeping with the babysitter, Joe Biden. How do you marry the babysitter of your children after your wife is killed? Weird. Okay.
Weird.
So then you have another child, a girl with that woman. You continue to have a life of politics, getting more money, moving up the ranks. You've been trying to run for president your whole life. You've been caught in so many lies. The plagiarism you did in college, the plagiarism you did as a politician, saying that you were at the top of your class when you were at the bottom of your class, having to drop out of presidential races. All the money you've made off of taxpayer money your entire career. Whenever your child needs you the most and he's suffering from crack addiction and suffering from all these things, you decide to run for president instead of being there for your son and then force him to go out into the world and collect these bribes and this pay-for-play bullshit, the pay-for-access nonsense that you were doing. You clearly were doing that. Okay, dude, whatever. It is what it is. Sue me, I guess. Whatever. Allegedly, you were doing pay-for-access stuff that was so obvious that everyone knows about it. Then you gave yourself blanket pardons after you ripped off the world. You said black people were predators. You made the 94 crime bill the way that it was and put all the black people in jail, and everyone hates you for it. You were a racist forever. You didn't want your white kids going to school with black kids. You're a piece of shit. You're a racist. You're a monster. You're a warmonger. You wanted us to go to war all these times. You created these wars all across the world. You were drone bombing little kids with Obama. You're a piece of shit. You're an absolute fucking dog shit human being. You were taking showers with your teenage daughter, bro. You took showers with your teenage daughter. It was in her diary. You're probably a pedophile. You've been smelling kids. You smell adults. You smell people. You're touching them really weird. You're really odd. It's just, fuck you, Joe Biden, you fucking piece of shit. Do you know how many people Joe Biden has indirectly murdered in his life? Dude, it's absolutely crazy. So don't tell me, sit there and say, oh, he has cancer. He's just a little old man. He's a good guy. Fuck Joe Biden. That dude is a piece of shit, a warmonger, a monster, a horrible father, a possible sexual assaulting rapist, pedophile monster, dude. Don't tell me not to say bad things about Joe Biden, because that just makes me, I have Tourette's now. Do you hear how my Tourette's have developed over this video? I don't even curse in my videos. I've been cursing this whole video because I'm thinking about Joe Biden and how big of a piece of shit he is. And the more people tell me not to say he's a piece of shit, the more it makes me explode about him being a piece of shit. He's a huge piece of shit.
You're a piece of shit.
Imagine you had 2 sons. One of them's dead. You had 3 kids. You actually have 4 kids. One of them died as a little baby in a car accident. Can't say nothing bad about that. That's just, that baby didn't know what they were getting into. Good. I don't know what to tell you. That happened. You lost your first wife. Horrible tragedy. Your son survived that. One of them dies from cancer. Went to the military. By all accounts, seemed like a really good guy. I don't know nothing about him. You allow your surviving son to start sleeping with your dead son's wife, turn her out, make her a crackhead, turn her into a drug addict. And in the midst of all of that nonsense and trauma you got going in your life, you run for a politician, you run for more power. You don't even resign from your current position. You ask for a promotion and want more responsibilities when your whole family is falling apart. Joe Biden is a piece of shit. Joe Biden is a huge piece of shit. Don't tell me he's not. While his family was falling apart and recoiling in absolute trauma from his son dying, he ran for political office and more power and more money, sent his crackhead, grieving son out into the world to collect more bribes for pay for access. Dude, he is the biggest piece of shit. And then now he's hid his cancer from the world to stay in power. And then while he's asleep at the switch, people are selling his signature for pardons. This dude is a traitor. He's a monster, a warmonger, murdering piece of shit. Okay, guys, I hope to see you soon. Talk to us in the comments. Wasn't this fun? Aren't you happy you listened to this? I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't have made this video first after I got a bunch of new subscribers out of nowhere. Hey, man, if you guys, a couple people said it was from Mark Dice. I appreciate you guys, man. I don't always curse like this. First of all, I normally don't curse. And secondly, this is just, I get a little bit mad about Joe Biden, man. I'm not going to lie. But I'll see you guys soon. I got some more videos coming this week, couple more. If you're new here, I normally do 2 to 4 long form videos a week. And then I do memes and little shorts from the long form videos in between those days to give you something in between. Hopefully, the faster I go, the better I get at this, the easier the editing comes to me because I'm brand new at all this. Hopefully, I'll be able to give you a little more support. I'm able to give you a little bit more. But I appreciate you guys showing up, man. I'm not always ranting like this, but it is what it is, man. I'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.